Here's why I'm excited when it comes to XCN. Not too long ago, Onyx, they posted on X, and they posted how when it comes to the Onyx wallet, it was less than 1 month from launch. And they posted this kind of recently, by the way. So if I'm just basing it off of this post, probably it's going to launch somewhere, or should I say sometime in August. Now, why do I think that this could maybe be something that is pretty awesome? Because with the way altcoins are beginning to have a slight recovery as of right now, let's say they have the launch of the wallet, and let's say it does pretty good, I think that right there could be a good catalyst for something like Onyx. And keep in mind, the Onyx wallet is powered by XCN, so I think it's pretty cool. I think it does give something to look forward to. And I'm totally aware that a bunch of other projects out there, they have wallets. This isn't like anything that revolutionary in my opinion. In the grand scheme of things, it's kind of somewhat, I would say, very basic. But then at the same time, what I like about it is that Onyx, at least they have, again, something to do, right? At least they are having something for the community to kind of look forward to. Not to mention, we also have to consider how when it comes to Goliath, sometimes people overlook this, but Goliath, maybe allegedly, it could be this layer one blockchain that, in a sense, could maybe play a role in the world of finance. Now, we'll have to wait and see when it comes to that. But when it comes to Onyx, keep in mind, they're aiming to launch, allegedly, the testnet in Q3 of this year and the mainnet in Q1 of next year. So if let's say, altcoins start doing a lot better, and let's say XCN has a pretty decent recovery, and then we see something like the launch of the Onyx wallet, and then let's say maybe we see the testnet of, Goliath. That I think could also, again, be a pretty good catalyst. Now, nothing I say is financial advice, but XCN at the price of 25 cents, that would not surprise me. And some people may be thinking, okay, if we take a look at that, right, they're like, 25 cents, it's around a 12x from here. They say, how is this even like that good? Some people may argue that. Well, the way you take a look at it is that, because for instance, Bitcoin going to 300 grand. From right now, that's slightly under a 3x from here. Ethereum going to 10 grand, it's over a 2x from here. So I'm totally aware that when it comes to something like, Bitcoin, Ethereum, it's done very well. Also something like XRP, which is the market leader, I think, when it comes to, these type of projects like Onyx, which are focused on global trade and finance and the payments market. Even XRP, I don't know if in the next 6 to 10 months that could do around a 12x. This is just my thought process because it's already very massive. Bitcoin, Ethereum, it's already very massive. So I don't view this as a bad thing personally for me. I'm not speaking on anyone's behalf, but this is just the way to take a look at it. And now 25 cents, if it were to go to that price, considering current circulating supply, market cap would be around $8.5 billion. Let's just take a look at XRP as of right now. This is not even 10% of XRP's current market cap, So I don't think that this is something too outlandish, at least from my perspective. Even if I want to use another example, like Dogecoin back in 2021 reached over $80 billion in market cap. So this is like around 10% of that. The way you take a look at it is that this doesn't seem that ridiculous. When it comes to the two markets that Onyx is heavily focused on, again, payments, global trade, and finance, when it comes to the competitors that are focused on these markets, right? I don't think there's that many, and also many of them are experiencing the same thing that XCN is in the grand scheme of things. Let me explain why. We have to take a look at the competitors when it comes to XCN. In my opinion, I think it's something like Swiftcoin, I think it's something like XPR, I think it's something like ZBCN, I think it's also something like XDC. And now, why didn't I say Ripple or Stellar, right? It's because they're always going to be number one, number two, I think, in this space, at least personally for me, I think in the foreseeable future. So I don't even consider that a competitor when it comes to something like Onyx. This is just my thought process. So out of those competitors, again, XPR, ZBCN, Swiftcoin, and as well as XDC, I think. Now, that's 4 major competitors. What do a lot of them have in common? The price not too long ago was doing pretty good, and then it's not doing the best as of right now because of the pullback, much like XCN. So really, XCN is no stranger to this. This is just my perspective. And even if, let's say, XCN was kind of the only one going down and the rest was doing pretty good, even projects in the same sector, in my opinion, don't necessarily just do well at the exact same time. Let me explain what I mean by this. Let's take a look at ZBCN and XCN. When XCN was doing very good, ZBCN wasn't really doing anything, in my opinion. And then when XCN was going down, ZBCN started going up. Now, ZBCN, of course, had a pullback, but the timing was not the same. even though I believed in those two projects at the same time, again, XCN, which of course I'm talking about this video, and also ZBCN, even though I was bullish at them at the same time, XCN had that run first. It doesn't necessarily mean that all the projects I think in the same sector are just going to do well at the same time. But again, the fact that, a bunch of these other competitors are not necessarily doing the best because of the pullback, I think also kind of showcases that, again, what we're seeing when it comes to XCN isn't necessarily like the only thing that's experiencing it, but this is just my point of view. Now let's take a look at XCN as well. Exchange listings, I think, are pretty decent. Now, I don't think it's the best out there, but I still think it's pretty good nonetheless. Not to mention, when I take a look at Onyx, I think the community is very passionate. Now, what do I mean by this? Usually, when I see a project with a very passionate community, it's typically these type of meme coins that I don't think have the best use case out there. And I think that is sort of a way to kind of supplement that, lacking of a use case in a sense where the community is very passionate. But when it comes to Onyx, I like the passion when it comes to the community, but then it's not a meme coin. So then it's kind of like a best of both worlds type of scenario, the way you take a look at it. Onyx has the utility, but then at the same time, it kind of has the passion in the community, which I do like. Now, let's not forget, when it comes to projects that I see sometimes in blockchain gaming or like, metaverse, whatever, usually when I see those type of projects, sometimes I see that they never do anything really. They say they're going to do this or do that. And still, their market cap in some cases are very massive. Now, why do I think that is the case, and why do I think it even relates to something like Onyx? It's because many people would argue that when it comes to Goliath or like the Onyx wallet, they may think, oh, the adoption is not going to be the best. Who cares? Well, I think that, given the example that I used before, I think more so what people usually care about from what I see currently, I'm not saying 5 or 10 or 15 years later, I'm saying right now, I think people more so care about the narrative. I think they care about the story. I think they care more so about what the project's trying to achieve. So I think something like Onyx, even though I don't think, something like Goliath or like, the Onyx wallet is going to gain mass adoption in the next 6 to 10 months, I just don't think that's going to be the case, hypothetically, just in my perspective, because I think that type of stuff takes quite a while. But then I don't think it would really matter in the grand scheme of things, because take a look at what XCN did not too long ago in terms of the rally. And we have to consider, what catalyst did it really have back then? I mean, it wasn't like Goliath was this thing that people really talked about. It wasn't like anyone was talking about, hey, what's going to happen to the Onyx wallet and all this. What I felt like happened back then was just people thinking that XCN was kind of this watered down version of Ripple and Stellar. And then, there was this rally. And the crazy thing, I think also, is that back then was not even a fully fledged type of altcoin season, in my opinion. So XCN kind of did that without really, I think, much to grasp onto for me in terms of fundamentals. So if, let's say now, which arguably I would say the fundamentals do seem a lot better in terms of the perception to me when compared to before when it had that rally, not to mention there's at least things to look forward to. And also on top of that, when I take a look at how well, something like the market leader is doing, like XRP, for instance, XCN may be doing better than what it did back then. That actually would not surprise me, which is why I'm just going to stay patient. Now, I'm not telling anyone to do anything when it comes to XCN. This is just my perspective. But the way you take a look at it was that it's kind of like, just shocking to me seeing how XCN was able to do that back then without much of a catalyst. So I'm just going to still stay patient, because allegedly currently there is over 600 million crypto owners, which is allegedly, again, more than ever before in history. So with all these bullish factors, I would not give up on XCN. This is just my perspective. But again, I'm not telling you to do anything when it comes to Onyx, but this is just the way to take a look at it. But nonetheless, I am looking forward to what Onyx has to do in the future. I'm looking forward to Goliath, and also I'll have to wait and see what happens to the wallet. But you know what? At least there's something to look forward to me, when I take a look at Onyx, and I do like how they're updating to the community. And feel free to subscribe if you enjoyed this video. I'll greatly appreciate it. It's only the Captain, and I'll catch you all in the next one. I'm out. Peace. Bye.